Do you often feel anxious when faced with uncertainty? Let's explore how you can manage your anxiety and improve your tolerance for uncertainty. Watch till the end for actionable tips. Welcome to Cheap Talk, where we dive deep into life's little dilemmas. Ever feel that knot in your stomach when things are up in the air? Like waiting for a text back or not knowing if you aced that interview?
Oh, tell me about it. That waiting game can be brutal. It's like sometimes a bad outcome feels almost better than not knowing, right?
Exactly. This article dives into why that is, talking about this thing called cognitive closure. Basically, it's this deep need we have for a definite answer, any answer, just to get rid of that uncertainty. And the lower your tolerance for uncertainty, the stronger this need becomes.
So it's like needing to close the loop, even if closing it means accepting a bad outcome?
Right. And get this, there are two stages to this whole cognitive closure thing. First, there's the seize stage. That's where you're frantically searching for information, any clue, to get that certainty, like obsessively checking your phone.
Oh my gosh, yes. Refreshing your inbox every 5 seconds, scrolling through social media. Been there?
Then, if you can't find that answer, you hit the freeze stage. That's where you kind of just shut down. Stop thinking rationally, make a snap judgment based on gut feeling, or maybe just try to completely ignore the whole thing, which honestly rarely leads to good decisions.
So, like, if someone's left you on read, you jump to the worst conclusion, they hate you, you messed up, instead of considering, maybe their phone died?
Precisely. And then you might react impulsively, send a barrage of texts, unfriend them, spiral into anxiety. The article gives some pretty relatable examples, like staying in a bad job or relationship just because you're terrified of the unknown if you leave, or even procrastination, putting things off because you're afraid of messing up so you just don't do them at all. It's like choosing a known bad outcome over an uncertain, potentially good one.
Which is crazy, right? But it's so relatable. The article also mentions these cognitive distortions that fuel this fear of uncertainty. Things like emotional reasoning, letting your feelings dictate your reality, or mind reading, assuming you know what others are thinking.
Yeah, and those should statements, like I should have gotten a reply by now, which just adds to the pressure cooker.
Totally. So, how do we deal with this? How do we break free from this fear of the unknown?
Well, the article talks about cognitive restructuring, which is basically challenging those negative thought patterns. Like instead of thinking I'm going to fail, break it down. What part of you is failing? Is there actual evidence that you'll fail, or is it just a feeling?
So, it's about being more mindful, more rational, and questioning our assumptions.
Exactly. And ultimately accepting that uncertainty is just part of life. It's the only thing that's certain, ironically. The key is to learn to navigate it, not fear it, maybe even embrace it. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to follow Cheap Talk wherever you get your podcasts and give us 5 stars. It really helps the algorithm and lets us know what content to create next. And who knows, maybe facing those what ifs head on could lead to something amazing. So we were talking about how our brains grapple with uncertainty, right? And how sometimes we'd rather a bad outcome than not knowing at all.
Yeah, that whole cognitive closure thing. We crave certainty, even if it's a certainty we don't like. It's wild.
Totally. But get this, it's not just about wanting closure. There's some interesting research, like this Tversky and Kahneman study from '83, that shows how our intuition can actually lead us astray when dealing with probabilities and uncertainty.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, they talk about this thing called the conjunction fallacy. Basically, it's where we think the combination of two events is more likely than one of the events happening on its own, which logically makes no sense.
So, like, thinking it's more likely that someone is a feminist and a bank teller than just a bank teller?
Exactly, because we build this narrative in our heads. The feminist bank teller feels more representative, more real, even if statistically it's less likely. It's like our brains are wired for stories, not statistics. This ties into our chat about uncertainty, because when faced with the unknown, we tend to fill in the blanks, create narratives, even if they're not based in logic.
So, we choose a comforting story, even if it's a less probable one, just to ease the uncertainty?
It seems that way. And this need for closure can also be amplified by, well, ambiguous situations, as pointed out in this 2003 Scandinavian study. They looked at how vague requests impact blood donors. Apparently, unclear expectations create this sense of unease, making people less likely to donate. Hmm.
Wow. So, even something as simple as unclear instructions can trigger that need for closure, that aversion to ambiguity?
Yeah. Makes you wonder how much unclear communication contributes to stress in, like, every aspect of life, doesn't it? If you're enjoying today's deep dive, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. We love hearing your thoughts. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. This whole idea of how we respond to stress and uncertainty also got me thinking about this 2015 study by Middle and others.
Oh, yeah? What's that about?
Well, it suggests that going through tough times, specifically during childhood, can actually improve executive functions in adulthood.
Wait, really? Adversity can be beneficial?
Apparently so. It's like our brains develop coping mechanisms, learn to navigate uncertainty better, maybe even become more comfortable with it because, unfortunately, uncertainty becomes the norm for some. This ties into our earlier discussion of how stress can shut down rational thinking because if you're constantly stressed, your brain is kind of always in that season freeze mode. Hmm.
So it's like a double-edged sword, huh? Early adversity can sharpen your cognitive skills, but also make you more vulnerable to that anxiety spiral when faced with the unknown.
Right. So, where were we? Oh, yeah, this whole adversity thing. It's kind of mind blowing that going through tough times can actually make you better at handling uncertainty later on. Almost like a training ground for the brain, you know?
Yeah, like a cognitive boot camp. But as we said, it can also make you more susceptible to anxiety. So it's this weird balance.
Totally. It's like building resilience, but also potentially increasing vulnerability. It makes you wonder about the long term effects, right? Like, how does this play out in different aspects of life? Decisions about relationships, careers.
Yeah. Choosing to stay in a bad situation because the unknown is too scary versus taking a leap of faith, even if it's uncertain. It's a constant tug of war.
For sure. And this whole conversation about uncertainty and cognitive closure, it really highlights how much our brains crave solid ground, even if that ground is, well, not so great. We discussed the conjunction fallacy, right, where we make illogical assumptions just to create a narrative, a sense of knowing.
Right, like the feminist bank teller example, we'd rather a compelling story than cold, hard stats. It's like our intuition is a storyteller, constantly weaving narratives to make sense of the world, even if those narratives are flawed.
Exactly. And that flawed storytelling can really mess with our decision making, especially when it comes to uncertainty, like that study about blood donors, unclear instructions, boom, increased need for closure, decreased donations. Makes you think twice about how you communicate, right?
Oh, absolutely. Clarity is key, especially when you're trying to encourage a specific action like donating blood or, I don't know, clicking that subscribe button. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the human psyche, don't forget to subscribe to Cheap Talk and leave us a review. We really appreciate your feedback.
Yes, your reviews help us understand what resonates with you, our amazing listeners. And speaking of resonating, this whole discussion about uncertainty, it's so universally relatable. Everyone at some point has wrestled with that fear of the unknown.
Totally. From waiting for that text back to making big life decisions, uncertainty is just part of the human experience. It's about learning to navigate it, maybe even embrace it.
Exactly. And sometimes those uncertain moments, those leaps of faith, they lead to the most incredible things. So to our listeners, thank you for joining us on Cheap Talk. Keep those amazing questions coming and don't be afraid to embrace a little uncertainty. Until next time, take care.
Bye, everyone.